Well, Homelander finally snapped for good, and what he did to his own son in this episode crossed a line that not even the comic book readers saw coming. Guys, the show has completely shifted its focus. The key right now is V1. If Homelander gets his hands on this source of immortality, it's game over for everybody. Besides that, we had 2 major deaths and almost a confirmation that Black Noir isn't who we thought he was. Did the series really give up on the biggest plot twist from the comics? Let's dive into episode 3 right now and understand why the boys will never be the same again.
So this episode kicks off with Ryan killing those CIA agents, right? You can see that Ryan, guys, gets no pleasure out of killing. He's just a very confused kid with no guidance who's being pressured all the time. That's Ryan. By the way, that opening in Russia, transitioning to Soldier Boy being Putin's buddy, was hilarious, right? Anyway, after that commercial for Soldier Boy joining the Seven, I thought it was interesting seeing Soldier Boy getting the spotlight, you know? He's getting exposure, and having people looking at him bothered Homelander. The Boys is a show that cares a lot about the nuances of Homelander's reactions. It makes for a scene-stealing character who is incredibly interesting to watch on screen, because you want to see how he reacts to anything that happens. He really is a massive egomaniac, man. Super petty, like a spoiled kid. Whenever anyone gets even a little bit of the spotlight, he wants to steal it. He already went out in front of the cameras and revealed to the world that Soldier Boy was his dad. That whole subject is everything to him, too. I mean, the guy always wants to be front and center and is obsessed with what the internet and the magazines are saying. This dynamic, Homelander's superiority complex clashing with Soldier Boy, is what triggered his breakdown in this episode. This superiority complex always comes with a crisis, when he feels inferior to someone, which is exactly how he feels around Soldier Boy. That kind of always ties back to this V1 reveal. All modern supes have compound V in their blood. They have the stable, risk-free, industrialized formula. But the old school supes have compound V1, which is, a massive dose. You get me? Like, it's a lot. A lot of people died being lab rats for that first version, and the ones who survived got mega buffed. It's a formula 10 times more potent than the traditional one, and it's a formula with no weaknesses, no receptors for the virus to latch onto. It's a formula that stops supes from aging, so they are literally immortal.
Guys, if this explanation about V1 blew your mind, drop a like right now. That's the signal to YouTube that you want to see more serious breakdowns about the boys, and it helps me out a ton to keep bringing these secrets to you. And if you just stumbled in here, subscribe. We're dissecting every single detail of this final season, up to the very last episode. Soldier Boy is gonna live forever. Stormfront was gonna live forever too, right? She still looked brand new. Well, this revelation completely flipped the focus of the show. Now the focus has been turned inside out, man. They threw out the virus plotline. Actually, in this very episode, Samir destroys everything in the lab and takes off with Zoe. I think that was their way of wrapping up those 2 characters' arcs. I don't think they're coming back. Now the show is going to focus entirely on the hunt for V1, which is the upgrade Homelander needs to basically become an immortal god.
And it's funny, man, how this revelation came to him through a vision of Madeline Stillwell as an angel from heaven. The show uses all that slightly blasphemous Christian aesthetic that we even see in real life, They read fake Bible verses, right? I even ask myself, man, how can a season that was written and shot almost 2 years ago manage to drop an episode at the exact same time something with that exact vibe is happening in real life? These guys must be psychic. Seriously, they need to write a book of prophecies, right?
I think this was a good episode to flip the switch for Homelander. The guy kept seeing everyone calling him a failure, a loser, etc. It's cool that the show adds so many layers like that to Homelander's crazy behavior. But for this final season, for Homelander to strike fear into the boys, we need a no-nonsense Homelander. He takes baths in a tub of milk, man, right? He gets naked in front of his own dad without feeling ashamed. He drinks milk from a baby bottle in front of everybody. He lost his fear. He's no longer debasing himself. That's important for the show, to put him back in that #1 indestructible, egocentric spot he had in the early seasons, back when it seemed impossible for anyone to even lay a finger on Homelander, you know? I think the show owed us that since season 3. Ever since his fight against Soldier Boy and Maeve, it feels like that got lost a little bit, doesn't it? But for him to be the final boss of the series, he's really going to need that. Now, moving over to the scenes in Stan Edgar's bunker, 2 deaths went down. Maverick, Translucent Sun, and Cindy. Cindy didn't see Invisible Maverick in front of Huey and blew him up. Then Starlight went over and just snapped her neck. I don't know, guys. I think Cindy should have been insanely powerful. She could have had a bigger plotline within the show.
I think she died way too easily, man, right? She was terrifying, and her death just ended up being a minor detail, like a secondary arc in episode 3. She could have had more of the spotlight, I think. The point of that arc was more focused on Huey feeling like he was screwing up big time and not wanting to start a cycle of revenge and all that, especially since he even forgave A-Train. There was Huey's redemption too. We saw that Huey forgave him, so that was super awesome. Now, this whole thing with Starlight leaving at the end, I really didn't get that. Like, if she's worried about losing Huey, then that's exactly where she needed to stay, close to him to protect him. Because he's gonna keep putting himself in danger with the boys, only now without her to protect him. Like, does that make sense? She simply leaves because she felt bad about losing him, and to hell with him? Man, that makes no sense. It's feeling like that time Starlight got mad at Huey for getting tricked by the shapeshifter, right? Man, for a good few seasons now, Starlight has been poorly written. The things she does don't seem to make much sense. It feels like they really want to ruin the character. Another character I think really went downhill after she started talking is Kimiko. The character learned how to talk just to keep talking non-stop about how she watches porn. You get it. I don't know, it's weird too. Honestly, it feels forced. It feels like those James Gunn jokes.
But let's move on. Going back to the bunker invasion scene, what caught my attention the most was the Deep taking down Black Noir with a simple gas grenade. Is he just an actor under that mask? Is there no plot twist there? Come on, let's think this through, because they are keeping this a secret, okay? They're building up this mystery, even with this whole thing of him disappearing for a few hours a day and all that, right? Everyone who's read the comics or watches the channel knows full well that the ending of the comic is basically Homelander versus Black Noir, because Black Noir is a clone of Homelander. He's another Homelander inside that mask. Like what happened to Butcher's wife, what happened to Starlight, all of that. Actually, the one who did it was Black Noir. So he was the big villain.
In the show, it's impossible to pull off that plot twist, because we saw the first Black Noir die. We also follow Homelander's point of view all the time. We see things from his perspective, man. So there's very little room for a plot twist with this new Black Noir. It could even be possible that they swapped Homelander and replaced him with Black Noir, but if the guy gets beaten by a little bit of smoke, man, then forget the theory. Unless they're hiding another Homelander somewhere right now to put a Black Noir mask on, right? I'm genuinely curious to know what they're plotting with the character. Also, if you haven't read it yet and want to discover the epic and bizarre ending that inspired all of this, especially since we're in the final season and things are about to get crazy, I left a link to the definitive collection of the boys in the description. It's your chance to have the complete work on your shelf and find out the real fate of Noir and Homelander before the show ends and everyone starts spoiling the original ending out there. Secure yours before it sells out. Well, the absolute highlight of the episode, without a doubt, was Ryan fighting his own dad. Ryan is very easily influenced, so man, Butcher convinced the kid to kill himself and also revealed that he plans to kill himself after taking out Homelander. At least he's not a hypocrite about his job, right?
If he also became a soup, he'd have to go 6 feet under too. Agree?
Ryan was reckless, wasn't he? He went after Homelander, and his dad showed no mercy, bro. You couldn't believe that. You see, at first, man, he even holds back a little, tries to restrain himself, makes those faces like, Ryan, stop. But then he gets pissed. Why? Because the kid is destroying his statues and his stuff in the museum. And man, he starts letting loose a little bit on his own son right in his face, you know? I think it's safe to say that right now, Homelander cares about nobody but himself. He doesn't care about his son. Before, I honestly thought, man, that he had some affection for Ryan, but it's zero. He almost beat the kid to death. It really reminded me of Omni-Man versus Invincible, versus Mark, right? Draw the parallel there, if that isn't a clear reference. Seriously, to me, it's very similar. Anyway, this season is super dope. It's interesting to follow, right? Let's see how this hunt for V1 plays out. Now that Homelander has Stan Edgar in his hands, I think it's safe to say both sides already have the same intel on the secret facility Mother's Milk found. And I bet all my chips that V1 is there, and it's gonna be one hell of a fight. Homelander is such an egomaniac that he even defends his museum statues with his life. But hey, if you want to have one of those in your house, and I guarantee yours will be way cooler than the museum ones, there are some official collectibles from the show linked down below and on YouTube Shopping. They're on a promotional price on Amazon, so grab them before they run out of stock, because these The Boys items fly off the shelves.
Well, I want to know what you guys are thinking of the show. Comment down below, because I'm watching. This week, I'll bring more videos about The Boys, guaranteed. I even have one in the vault that's coming out right after this one. So tap right here, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell. It is super important to have that bell turned on so you don't miss what's happening around here. It's not just The Boys, it's not just Invincible. We talk about Marvel, we talk about DC, we talk about everything involving superheroes. This right here is the nerd universe, just the way we like it. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, guys. Catch you next time.